Hi, so I'm Alex, and thank you so much to everyone for coming to this Blue Sky Showcase. It's very exciting to see how far this project has come, especially considering how this all started with a simple LinkedIn post that I made back in early August. I was asking to see if anyone was interested in working on a small portfolio project together, which has now bloomed into something so much bigger than I ever could have imagined. I was really interested in meeting and working with people of a variety of backgrounds and skill sets and experience within the industry, and all collaborating together to create a theme park that can really help push the boundaries of immersion and interactivity, which I'm very excited to see today. So I ended up receiving such a huge response to that LinkedIn post, and it's really grown to a number of like 38 participants and 13 mentors. And speaking of mentors, I just really want to thank them for everything they've given to us and to this project. Through their industry experience, they've really been able to challenge us in our ideas, to push beyond what we first think up of. Also exposing us to what is expected in a real world studio situation. So again, thank you for all the time and knowledge that you have given to us. And going back to Patrick.
All right. So yes, big thank you to the mentors, Alex Freeman, Kathy Dixon, Cynthia Sharp, myself, Natalie Nielsen, Andrew Porter, Michelle Hicks, Michael Libby, Xavier Tretto, Nicole Figueroa, Jamie Barkowitz, Bill Kev, and Chris Bradley. Absolutely fantastic. So we're going to continue onward a little bit here. But we're going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a run through of how we got to where we are today. So Alex started the project with LinkedIn, and we got the coaches together and to figure out how are we going to create a simulated studio environment to ensure that everything kind of kept on the rails a little bit. So we had a brief, right? Every studio has a client. So we had an eccentric billionaire developer. They wanted to reutilize the former location of Six Flags in New Orleans. And they wanted to make a huge dent in the industry. So they wanted it to be next level, huge immersion, and they also had a few requests. So from the mystery, we call them the mystery client, right? They wanted a diverse set of perspectives involved in the project, meaning we have people part of this project that are from live theater, museums, people who've never worked on a theme park project before. We wanted to get them all together to see what can happen when we bring them together, right? They wanted things to start at home, and they wanted to monetize the at-home pre- and post-park experience. Very important to them. And I think we can all realize that during a COVID-19 world, right? This is skewing a little bit older, geared towards teens and adults. So you may not see a children's area. This is geared towards millennials, adults, and families of all ages are kind of on the end of the spectrum, which is a unique perspective there too. We wanted guests to have agency in their experience and use trends in other industries. That may come into play a little bit further down in concept development. Also, the theme park story should be compelling enough to launch its own franchise, so that it can interact with other mediums. So think about Pirates of the Caribbean, how it launched its own movie series, right? Also, generally when we move, this is probably going to come in mind when we move into further concept development. We want to make sure we have COVID in mind, meaning we can quickly flip things around to accommodate social distancing. All right, so how do we get here? So you might be wondering that. Week one, we had a lot of work. We had working sessions. Within about an hour period, we had each team, there were 6 teams total that were being helped by 2 mentors, come up with 3 different park ideas. They then pitched them, and we honed in on one of those parks per team. They then had a week to develop those ideas into a very top line pitch, blue sky pitch of what the park could be. And after rigorous discussion amongst the mentors and the mystery client, we decided to proceed with 2 of those options. And we combined 3 of the teams, or 3 teams on one park and 3 teams on the other. And then for the last 3 to 5 weeks, they've been combining their perspectives and their abilities to then combine with the blue sky pitch that you see today. And it's amazing to have it just be on like 3 slides, because that was a tremendous amount of work that it took to do that. And and it was a lot of work. So it's all simplified today. You didn't have to see how the sausage was made, but it was really fantastic how it's come together. We're really excited to showcase that for you today. So with all of that, it's the moment everyone's been waiting for. We are going to turn it over to the Rhythmic Realms starting now. Over to you.
Do you believe in the power of music? Music is powerful. It makes its own rules. It both transcends time and marks it. Music carries with us our emotions or takes us to new headspaces. It is universal yet distinct. It is widely shared and deeply personal. Music resonates with each of us in different ways. We want to create a space where the power of music can be realized in more tangible and impactful ways than anywhere else in the world. Introducing Rhythmic Realms, where the park is the instrument and it's time for your solo. We have developed a park that satisfies our mystery client's brief. This park empowers teen and adult guests to dive headfirst into a diverse soundscape while enjoying a deeply immersive and COVID-safe interactive environment. With strong potential to launch its own franchise, our guest experience integrates pre- and post-interactivity so guests can play and replay the park on their own or with their friends. To achieve this goal, we have a talented team of collaborators, which include producers, concept artists, 3D models, and graphic designers.
The technology we have in mind for Rhythmic Realms already exists in the real world, but we want to push it to the next level. Before and after they visit the park, guests can enter Rhythmic Realms. We're thinking collaborative mixed reality concerts that have a live interactive component, so guests can truly feel the music, whether they're at home playing along or listening from inside the park. Plus, guests can create and listen to custom mixes at home using sounds that they collected in the park. And they can take home a variety of interactive musical merchandise. There's also an opportunity to partner with Spotify, Apple Music, and TikTok to offer exclusive content from real emerging artists. Inside the park, we envision a mix of wearable RFID pucks and a smartphone app to encourage guests to curate their own personal soundscape while exploring Rhythmic Realms. They can choose a soloist experience, becoming musicians and discovering various sonic interactions embedded within the landscape, or they can join the ensemble, interacting with other guests to collectively affect the visual and auditory qualities of the land. We also think that a cutting-edge interactive performance venue would fit in well at Rhythmic Realms as an opportunity for people to experience music either in person or playing along at home.
Here we can see an overview of the park. Each land is inspired by different genres of the world, and the park expands on cultural, emotional, and physical relationships built and fostered through music. To ensure accurate and appropriate representation, we plan on conducting extensive research, as well as creating opportunities to add experts to the team with the intention of gaining their knowledge and guidance. We also want to establish that Rhythmic Realms is an inclusive park and welcomes folks of all abilities. We have taken inspiration from current industry experience, including those who integrate robust autism and sensory-friendly operations, as well as taking in ASTM standards. Moving forward, we will consult with experts on how to guarantee an enriching experience for all.
Welcome to our first land. Fusion Studio is a celebration of jazz, R&B, and all the influential genres that fuel America's sound. Inspired by the homegrown bands and musicians who started from garages and basements, this land pays tribute to nostalgic and eclectic American sounds. Guests can activate musical scenes with their wearable RFID bracelets, and they can use their smartphone to swipe and collect beats. Fusion Studios culminates in an e-ticket attraction celebrating musical fusion, with roaming musicians, celebration parades, twinkling lights, and dazzling decor This upbeat, charming land will enthrall guests with its joyous and vibrant atmosphere. On our e-ticket ride, Fusion Records, guests will ride in harmony with others as everyone creates their own beat on this interactive state-of-the-art Ferris wheel. In the queue, guests can tap to select which beats to bring on board with them. During the short ride to the top, guests will create and hear their own cabin's beats. Then, at the climax, guests can hear all the cabins fusing together in a carefully programmed symphony while enjoying a beautiful view of the park. On our D-ticket attraction, Ain't Misbehavin', we celebrate the art and the advocacy of the Harlem Renaissance as we take a musical journey through this era's history and legacy. Guests queue in a cabaret-style holding pen where they can learn about the history of jazz in America. On this traveling theater dark ride, guests follow Sonny, an energetic musician from the 1920s, from his early days as a jazz artist in Harlem to the stage of the famous Apollo Theater. On our C ticket, Harp's Desire, guests will experience music on this whimsical, multi-sensory digital soundscape. Spinning on one of two records, guests can collaborate with each other to create electronic harp sounds.
Over at Harmony Hilltops, enter an otherworldly land set in a rural forest village backdrop where music and nature combine with mythic results. In this land, celebrating India and Southeast Asia, fables come to life, and we invite your imagination and creativity to come out and play. Or guests can relax by the river, interacting with sonic water sculptures or swiping to collect the sounds of flutes and running water. At Bajin Caves, our log flume e-ticket attraction, guests will witness the creation, destruction, and power of music. The natural elements of this stone temple take guests on an enchanting sensorial journey, as melodious ripples, playful splashes of water, and whispering wind recreate the sounds of Indian musical instruments. An interactive cue allows guests to record and collect sounds, which are echoed back to them inside the caves. Saraswati, the goddess of art and music, is listening to guests in the queue and invites other deities to impart wisdom to the guests before they plunge back down to earth. The Realm of Ramakian is a track dark ride where the shadow puppet realm of Nong Yai awaits as you immerse yourself in the musically driven story of the Ramakian, a traditional Thai epic. Interactive elements allow guests to capture their shadow, which are projected in the show and can interact with the ride scenes. On Rockin' Ronia Uk, our seed ticket attraction, you can float across the bars of the Ronia Uk, a xylophone-like Cambodian instrument. Create original harmonies as you move from side to side, while guests in the queue influence the movement of the boat.
Next, we have Legato Island, which is a land celebrating the East Asian musical legacy, from traditional cultural influences to modern electric sounds. Join in the land in a celebration of music and enjoy festivities such as the exciting market filled with delicious eats or the roaring adventure across the sky. In this land, guests can explore voice-activated art and sculptures in a nod to karaoke. They can also swipe to collect K-pop beats and traditional East Asian sounds to mix into their personal soundtracks. Our e-ticket attraction is in this attraction, a classic zoetrope performance introduces the great myth of the lion guard, but gets interrupted by a ruthless Nean spirit who wants to take music and joy from the land. The lion guards then magically come to life to take guests on a journey to confront the evil spirit on a whirlwind tour through a diverse Chinatown cityscape, where guests can control the lions bouncing and blinking through dynamic ride vehicles. This ride concludes in an epic battle to bring music and life back home. Next is our D-ticket attraction, where guests can experience stardom like never before, as your very own J-pop hologram competes on stage in a high-energy sing-a-thon. Guests can either create their own avatar performer in a futuristic tea house setting, or they can choose to be an audience member who watches the holograms dance it out and vote for their favorite performances. Finally, our C-ticket attraction is a slow-moving ride around the rooftops of Legato Island. Guests can interact with various elements embedded in the landscape, like glowing paper boats or fighting Korean kites, all while listening to the energetic sounds of East Asian pop music.
Our next land is Staccato City. And in this land, the sound vibrations from music are the source of electrical power. And that's why performers and instrument makers are so revered here. Staccato City invites guests to take up their place in a long tradition of excellence and help power Staccato City by creating, collaborating, and interacting with music on various rides and attractions. Guests will use the power of kinetic energy to light up the land, and they can swipe to collect a variety of African and Middle Eastern percussion sounds to mix into their soundtracks later. Our e-ticket attraction is the Bomba Run. This is a high-speed indoor-outdoor coaster where guests can feel the vibrations of beatboxer Talata's life story and experience his rise to fame. In the queue for Bomba Run, guests can choose which song will launch Talata into stardom during their roller coaster concert scene. Our D-ticket attraction is Drop the Beat. Can you handle it when the beat drops? On this living musical instrument, guests rise and plummet to the sound of various songs on the Lebanese oud instrument, completely at the mercy of their friends down below in the interactive queue. Finally, our C-ticket attraction is the Breakout Bar. This is a safe space to bring out your inner musician. No special skills are needed to explore the art of music mixing in this futuristic workshop, where guests can interact with curated beats and help mix sounds for Talata's next track.
And that brings us over to Libretto Glen. Libretto Glen is a mountainside town founded by a group of monks who have discovered the kinetic and transformative powers of choral singing. When guests enter this town, they'll soon discover that they can use their voices and their RFID wearables to trigger transformations in the land's architecture. They can also collect the sounds of harpsichords, opera singers, church organs, and more. On Melody of the Monks, guests will embark on a choose-your-own adventure journey to solve the mysteries lurking in the Libretto Glen Monastery. Your singing will orchestrate the movement of the ride so you can find the monks before time runs out. The queue is the nave of the monastery, getting you in the mood with interactive parchments that showcase illuminated medieval music manuscripts. You move through the monastery scene by scene on a pew, propelled forward by the vocalizations that you and your fellow writers make. And as you can see, darkness lurks within this monastery, so at some point your melodic singing may turn into an outright scream. The Jungfrau Railway Yodel Adventure sends guests on a journey into the mountains above Libretto Glen, where they will witness the epic love story of two star-crossed yodelers who yearn to be reunited. Guests travel on a cable car with an interactive media screen where they are encouraged to yodel through built-in horns in the cable car to help trigger the avalanche that reunites the two lovers. Meanwhile, on Irish Harp Symphonic Swing, guests experience the sweeping, ethereal tones of Irish harp music as they glide up and down to the melodic sounds created by a giant enchanted harp. In the queue, guests can choose between a higher energy river dance experience, which means getting a bit more wet, or a relaxing classical Irish harp song, which gets a pleasant misting. Their wearable bracelets light up and show them to their unique seats.
Welcome to our next land, Crescendo Central. In this land, everywhere you turn, there's something to be celebrated, and visitors are the guests of honor. Crescendo Central is sultry and sensual. In this land, guests can use all their senses to dance and feel and find their own rhythm. Guests can use their bracelets to set off a series of celebrations in the land. The plaza rippling with projected sound waves and flags fluttering to the beat. They can also tap to collect sounds like panpipes and the guitarone. Our e-ticket ride is going to be Dance of the Diablos. It is a duetting robocoaster. Prepare for an unforgettable duet. No, really, prepare. Guest performance in the queue determines which dance will be performed in the arena. And you'll need to impress Maya to avoid getting your group thrown out of the ring. This innovative robocoaster gives guests a different experience every time, as they take on the central role opposite their friends in a show-stopping duet dance performance. The Quince Spin is our D-ticket ride. It is a spinning flat ride. Get into the fiesta spirit by joining the band at a blowout quinceañera party. Guests spin and swirl their way around the party inside larger-than-life mariachi instruments, serenading the birthday girl and competing to nail their solos before the party ends. The central bar within each ride vehicle lights up when it's time for the guests to play their part, and all the instruments celebrate together in a final visual show when the song concludes. Nimbo Silba is our sea ticket. It's a multi-sensory walkthrough. At Nimbo Silba, which translates to clouded forest, guests can conduct a natural symphony by discovering nature's music, hidden amongst the trees and rivers. This is an immersive walkthrough attraction that uses a variety of theatrical techniques and RFID interactivity to give guests a unique musical forest experience.
And that concludes our sonic stroll around the park. At every step of the way, we hope you've seen and heard how we've sought to push boundaries and create an experience that is thoroughly compelling for every person. We have developed a theme park that checks all of our clients' boxes. We are a team of diverse collaborators, and we are dedicated to making sure the park faithfully reflects the cultures around the world. We designed the park with teens and adults in mind, although we think the theme of music will draw people of all ages. We have created a truly unique space that is strong enough to launch its own franchise. We have considered how our park could be adaptable to a COVID-19 environment, which we'd be happy to discuss more at another time. We have evaluated current industry trends and emerging technologies to create experiences that are more immersive than any other theme park. By using RFID wearables and a smartphone app, we offer accessible musical interactivity in every land for guests of all ages and all musical abilities. Finally, we've given thought to how to extend the guest's experience outside of their time spent in the park with personalized sound curation and collaboration experiences, as well as interactive concerts. So with that, thank you for joining us on the debut world tour of Rhythmic Realms, where music bends and genres collide. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.